Welcome everybody to Tectonic Takes. This is your usual host, Favian Renkel. What's up, guys? I'm here with the awesome friend of mine, Danny. What's up, man? Thank you for taking the time. You're from L3 Pod. Let everybody know who you are and where you're from. I know they probably know you from before, but once more.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me, Fabian. A freaking blast, dude. Like I was seeing the list of like guests you had. Like you had Carlos Justice, Fernando Fiore, and then you have me. I'm like, damn. I'm down here compared to like our other buddies, dude. But yeah. I'm from the L3 podcast. We provide Liga MX content in English. And not just one specific team, but like all in general. And then of course Mexican players. So sometimes we will talk about Quakes or Miami or LA, but mostly on Quakes because we are, here in San Jose.
Yeah.
And then I have my mental wellness podcast called Tales from the Head with my good friend Ryan Cooper. Myself and Ryan, we went through a little hardship back in 2019, and we kind of just through talking decided to do a podcast, not to showcase like, oh, look how great we are now, because we're far from it, but we're like, hey, this is what we're doing to make ourselves better. If you like it, check it out. So yeah, man.
Yeah, guys, and please do check out Danny's work. I mean, great podcast. L3 Pod is something that we grab inspiration from all the time. Like Fernando Fiore, like you guys did it first. So seeing you guys able to do it, like I was like, oh, that's pure inspiration, right? So
thanks, bro. Appreciate that, man.
And
really appreciate that.
Yeah, and Carlos used this too, right? So he came on the L3 Pod. So literally without the L3 Pod, guys, Tectonic Takes is nothing. So thanks to Danny, we are what we are.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Of course. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I brought Danny on today to talk a little about Liga MX. And so basically, as a Quakes fan, kind of pretty new Quakes fan, I'm maybe 5 years into Quakes fandom, and I don't know that much about Liga MX. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I always know about America, Chivas, Toluca, Atlas, all these team names, right? Because I've been watching República Deportiva for years, right? Morelia and things like that. But I never really deep dived into what the season is, and I brought Danny on to talk about basically what Liga MX is. A look back on the Mexican players that play for the Quakes now, how they are played in the past and what they look like, and kind of like a Chofis Lopez first 100 days, a Carlos Fierro update, and a Alanis kind of update as well. But let's start with this, Danny. What's the difference between Apertura and Clausura? So I did not, I thought maybe one was a playoff. So
no. That's a great question, because trust me, I looked that up too. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But no, basically Apertura is like ascending, so it's the first half of the season. So Liga MX has this thing where they split the soccer season or year, if you will, into two different tournaments: Apertura, ascending, and then Clausura, closure. And it's the same thing. It's just first, you play the teams the first round, the first time. So it's what, you have 16 jornadas or 16 weekends or
okay. And you play them each team once?
Yeah, you play each team once, and then you play playoffs. The first top 4 teams automatically make into the playoffs. And then last year, because of COVID, they were doing the 5th all the way to 12th place, I believe. They would play like a wild card
playing
game. Yeah. And then they do the tournament until one team is the champion, and then 2-3 weeks later you start all over again until the end of May.
So which one has more weight to it? So yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry, cut you off. No, they both pretty much have like the same weight. It's just the same weight. It's more bragging rights. And to be honest, I don't like that. I mean, it's cool because sometimes teams have a killer first half or first half of the season,
right?
And then second half they freaking die off.
Yeah.
We've seen this many times with European teams here in the US. So this is cool because those exactly. Because then these teams they have the opportunity to capitalize on their winning streak in the first half and possibly win the championship. And vice versa, same thing. Sometimes teams, especially once you do like that mid-year transfer and stuff, these teams really pick up towards the end. But sorry.
Sorry.
I get too excited. But sometimes these I don't like that. I don't like it specifically. I think it's like it's just it's so confusing, so much going on. It's great when my team wins,
Yeah,
then I'm
yeah.
not complaining. But when they don't, that's when I'm like, oh, this is freaking dumb. Why don't they just do a European style?
Right.
But
Or even
my theory is it's just to make more money. It's just
yeah.
chances for these teams to make more money. That's
Mm.
all it is.
And how many titles does like America have then, right? Because then if you have two opportunities for titles in every season, like it doesn't have that much weight. So Cruz Azul not winning in 20 years or 25 years, right? It's like, well, shit, you have two opportunities every year. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
okay.
no. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, before we get, because I didn't get a chance to talk about this
Yeah.
with the L3, but I mean, I gotta give it up to my buddies. Not because I'm a Cruz Azul fan. I'm not gonna, I'm not in no way or shape or form. But I do want to congratulate all my buddies,
Mm,
my personal friends, my online friends, and soccer related friends that do go for Cruz Azul and finally winning after what 20 something years. Like, way to
yeah.
go, bro! Like, you guys, congrats! Not to the team, the fans.
Yeah, they deserve it, right?
Yeah,
It's all for
they
the fans.
absolutely. It's just so hard, so much hardship, and then finally again having, like, I always say this online. I'm like, oh, I just want my friends to be happy. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked for them, not for the team, but for the fans.
Yeah. And so this is where I am a little embarrassed that I didn't know about Cabecita Rodriguez. Like this dude is Uruguayan playing in our backyard, and I have heard nothing about him before
Yeah,
they were in the finals, right? So
yeah.
yeah, and now he plays for the Uruguayan national team and he starts. So it's like,
Mhm.
man, maybe I should have paid a little more attention, and that's why we're doing this here today. So
Dude, Cabecita Rodriguez has been killing it with Liga
right.
MX, especially
Yeah.
with Cruz Azul. Golden Boot, I think off the top of my head, I want to say 2 seasons already.
Yeah.
Very key player for Cruz Azul.
Mm,
And yeah, great player around. A little bit controversy. He had a little bit of controversy
mm,
last year, and the year before, as far as his future with Cruz Azul, and
mm.
videos that always seem to surface from
In Mexico,
players
right?
in
Always in
Mexico. Oh,
Mexico.
always, always, dude. But all around pretty good. Outside the pitch, that's his own thing. In the pitch,
Yeah.
he's a freaking key player for Cruz Azul.
And
And
just quickly talking about the golden boot, does it have that much weight? Because there's two golden boots every year, right?
yeah. Oh, dude, it's bragging rights, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
bragging rights. I mean, who doesn't? We always talk about it. Sure, your golden boot gets what 12, maybe 14 goals a
right.
tournament, but still, man, it's bragging rights, man,
Mm,
and it just shows. And you got, for as much as we want to say that, you get two chances to be a champion, you also have just one chance to get it right as a team.
mm,
You know, for tournament. Imagine being a Cruz Azul, a Chivas, or an America and not making the playoffs. You
right,
know,
right.
because you cannot all the turn around. Like, you need to turn around fast, and this is why the reason why in Liga MX, there's always coaches being fired like
Right,
the
right.
first 3 or 4 weeks, because they're like, well, shoot, we're
We
almost
gotta
halfway through. Yeah,
right.
we need to pick it up. So every coach is always on the hot seat. All the
It-
players on the hot seats. Everybody's in the hot
yeah.
seats, and I think it really, um, like, you'll see like EPL, and you'll be like, it's the first 4 or 5 weeks. Like, oh well, the season just started.
Right.
Mexico's like, well, shit, we're halfway
Halfway
through.
through. Yeah, okay.
Curse.
Okay.
I'm sorry for curse. I'm
It's
like,
good.
hey, we're halfway through the season, so like they have to pick it up already. So
Yeah.
the pressure's on, and I think it just elevates the quality of soccer or
Yeah.
football that much. Also,
You're right. You're completely right. Because when you're watching the Prem, really, like the sixth week, you're like, that's the sixth week. Like if
yeah.
Arsenal beats Liverpool, and you're just like, okay, well, I'm a Liverpool fan, so it's
Hmm.
okay. There's still another match, and there's still a whole bunch more games to go. But when it's the sixth game and you're halfway through your season, right? That's a
Yeah.
different weight on the whole. You can't be rusty,
Exactly.
right? You have no time to be rusty. So
And I think you just said it right there.
yeah,
For me, EPL really doesn't pick up until what, February?
right,
Once you're
right,
like towards the end of the season, where
yeah,
teams really need to pick up points. Where Liga MX, we're like, well, in February we're already beginning the
right.
second tournament of the soccer year. So
Mm.
So yeah, I think it elevates it that much higher. It makes each game just count so much more because
Yeah.
nobody wants to drop points so early because you don't know how it's gonna bite you in the end.
You know, I would be okay with MLS doing something like this, but in their own way, right? Maybe like an MLS's back tournament in the beginning part of the year, and then
Yes.
cutting
Yes.
some games off the regular season, and then having the regular season after. Because man, MLS's back brought a lot of eyes to MLS.
Bro,
Yeah,
MLS is back tournament. I was so impressed by
right.
like the quality,
I was
just the
glued.
way it was. It was
Yeah,
it was amazing. It's what the world needed at the time, and it
right.
was a perfect showcase for the world to see what MLS is and
Mm,
what they have to offer, and how America does the twist to the beautiful game.
right.
And so MLS, I think we'll get to it in a bit, but I feel like rather than having this All Star game week, whatever,
Mm,
we're doing a tournament.
yeah,
I would
right.
love for a
Like,
tournament. Like invite some. Let's invite some of the European teams.
yeah,
Let's invite some of the Central, Liga MX Central, and even South American teams to come and play over here in this little
yeah,
tournament. I think that would be good,
right.
so good for MLS.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think like they do have the Club World Cup, and that's like probably the only time you'll see like a Liverpool play like a Corinthians or a Chelsea play
Mm-hmm.
like America.
Yeah.
But they could use something where it's like a tournament like the Champions League for the whole world, right? And
Yeah.
um, I mean, USA has to find out how to win CONCACAF Champions League first, or an MLS
Yeah.
team or a Canadian team. That's task number one. But having a regular season weighted MLS's back tournament where it matters. You're maybe like they did in MLS's back. Your first three games of your kind of like your group matter for
Mhm.
your regular season
Yeah.
points, and then the rest is for a trophy. And
Yeah.
they could easily do that. And I
Yeah.
think I
They
feel like
can
they could cut
maybe.
off maybe 3 games or 4 games and then just do that instead. That would bring more eyes. Maybe not invite any Liga MX teams because then it would have to be preseason, but you could always run a
Yeah.
preseason one before as well. So
Yeah.
it really MLS doesn't need to be that long. I believe it's like 35 games or 34 games. They can cut
Hmm.
off maybe 30 games, then run a tournament like that, and then have a preseason tournament as well.
I mean, I don't want to bash on MLS. I mean, I'm gonna bash on MLS. I shouldn't say that. Like, I don't want you to get offended, but let me offend you. But no, I don't want to. MLS has to do a lot of things to get together to
I
compete.
agree.
Because right
I
now,
agree. Yeah.
everybody thinks MLS is a joke. It's there. The quality is
Yeah.
there. I mean, I'm not obviously if you freaking compare it to like a La Liga or something. I mean, come on, you're
Right,
not gonna
right,
compare.
right.
It. But no, I feel like it competes with a lot of great leagues. The talent is right there, but MLS needs to get away from their season that they have right now. They need to get with the FIFA program, start
That
in
too. Yeah.
August and in May. They
Yeah.
need to have some sort of regulation system also. Like, yeah, that's cool. Oakland's coming in next year. Reno's coming in soon.
Yeah.
Sacramento, cool. But who's getting kicked out?
Right. Right.
MLS needs to have some sort of regulation system. And I know they just launched something where they like path to MLS or something like that.
Right.
I know it just came out a couple days ago. So maybe and then you have the USL also, which I'm not sure how that's gonna be looking right now with MLS and this
Right.
new so how that's gonna work. But I feel like these teams need to be kicked out to get some fire on these on these clubs that don't perform well. And if it's the Quakes, so be it. But at least it gets some sort of reaction rather than just getting the same mediocre results that we sometimes see year after year.
Yeah, and they just released today like the MLS is going to go ahead and do a affiliate league. So basically
Hmm.
they're not going to use USL anymore and they are going to make their own like under MLS league, which is good for the Quakes because the Quakes didn't have an affiliate anymore. And
Hmm.
but USL might be hindered a bit, right? This might
Yeah.
hinder USL a bit with loans and all that mumbo jumbo. So where do we see USL, right? They're doing like a pro rel system with their USL 1 and USL 2,
Hmm.
but I mean, I would like to see it in the top flight too. And Liga MX has a pro rel, right? But it's the only way they can go down is with certain basically certain requirements, right? Like America is never going to go down, right? Because it will be
Hmm.
saved, right? Because they have like a certain amount of fans or something like that, right?
Unfortunately, Liga MX has their system set up so the big teams do not go under. And by
Right.
when I say big teams, for those who are not familiar with Liga MX, is Club America, which is
Yeah.
el más grande. Haters are gonna hate. But you have your Chivas, you have your Cruz Azul, you have your Pumas, you have your Tigres now, your Monterreys. You
Right.
have this really, when I say big, I mean money wise big teams.
Yeah.
That they do it where, like, instead of seeing just one season, they look, oh, how these teams have been playing in the past, 3 or 4 tournaments, and then they do some sort of calculation,
Mm.
and then even then, like, then you have the option of paying your way, to stay
Back
in the
up.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's kind of like, okay, well, shoot, what's the whole point of that? And then recently with COVID, they just did it where no one was going to get kicked out no
Mm.
more. But FIFA's like, no, dude, if you guys want to be considered FIFA
Eligible.
affiliate,
You
you
got to
need to
kick someone out. Yeah.
yeah, you need to kick some teams out. So they're like, all right. So they're gonna bring that back within the next year, I believe.
Yeah. And we could do that. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like easily one or two teams go down. And unfortunately, but I don't, the way US sports is set up, there is no
Yeah.
relegation in basketball. There is no
Yeah.
relegation in
On
baseball.
football.
So I
Yeah.
think the MLS will unfortunately never do that. But what they could do is maybe like an MLS is back tournament type of deal where the teams don't get invited into that tournament, right? So
Yeah.
it could be something else. It doesn't have to be the regular pro rel as well. But
Well,
yeah,
I think it was. Let me get his name right before I'm sorry. Let me get. I want to say
the
it's Taylor. Is it Taylor Tillman?
Taylor Twellman.
Twelman.
Yeah.
Yes. That I got a love hate relationship with that guy, but whatever. He, um, he once said that the and this is his comment after the United States did not qualify for the World Cup. He's like,
Mm,
America, the United States is the only country that celebrates mediocrity.
yeah.
What happens to the last place of the team, on any team in any sports? Okay, you get the first round, the first pick or something.
Right.
You celebrate, mediocrity. And that's unfortunately MLS has the same
Mentality.
mentality.
Yeah.
And this is why we're talking about, the MLS All Star. Like, oh,
Right.
like is we'll get to it. It's just I
Right.
have a love hate towards it.
I was gonna say when Club America was playing, I think it was LAFC in CONCACAF.
Yeah.
The stat was that 17 players on America would be considered a DP signing. And we're gonna get into this a little later, but if Liga MX and MLS want to become a league together, they have to abolish that DP rule as fast as possible. They
Mhm.
have to penalize teams for not using other DP slots like a la San Jose,
Mhm.
especially when Inter Miami is just trying to put more money into their club and perform better. They shouldn't be penalized as roughly for just trying to push the status quo, right? And
Mhm.
the LA Galaxy did that in the past, and now it's Inter Miami. They should penalize teams just as much if they don't use all three DP slots as the teams that are trying to use more than three DP slots. So, and that's going to hold us back in MLS is the teams that don't want to spend money, like the Quakes, like the
Yeah.
Revs, and like the old kind of teams that were here in 95, so or
Yeah.
96. And that needs to change before we even sniff an idea of talking about these League MX teams and interleague kind of matchups, because they'll just blow us out of the water. A team like Morelia would probably blow us out of the water. A team like Monterrey
Yeah.
would blow us out of the water.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
Carlos Fierro came from Monterrey, right? So
Yeah.
he wasn't, I believe, at the time starting. So imagine one of our
Uh,
lockdown starters or
I
one of our
mean,
starters at the beginning of the season not playing in Liga MX. So it's just, it's kind of a crazy
I
thought to
mean,
think about.
look at Chofis. Chofis hasn't touched
Right.
the field for Chivas, and prior he hasn't touched the field prior to coming to San Jose for shit. I don't know how many games or how many minutes.
Right.
Same thing with Alan Pulido. Same thing with
That Polito's crazy to me. Yeah, like
yeah,
how he didn't
yeah.
play as well as much in Liga MX.
Pizarro was playing with Monterrey. He
Yeah.
was playing, but same thing. Like, he was coming in. He
Right.
wasn't like, a lot of these teams, in Mexico, like Tigres, Monterrey, they have quality players on the
Right.
bench, but who will
Oh,
be
yeah.
playing the full 90 minutes here in MLS. But these teams have them.
Right.
You know,
And another one is Jurgen Damm for Atlanta
Jurgen
United,
Damm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he was on the bench for Tigres, right? I think I
Yeah.
have it right. And then now he's a full 90 starter in MLS, and he gets paid pretty well. So
Yeah.
these guys, they would be on a bench for a Liga MX team. And if you look at like America's, basically their bench, they're all starting caliber guys in
Dude,
MLS. We'd love to have them in
you had Giovanni Dos Santos on
right,
the bench,
right, right,
like that's a huge name, you have Marcos Fabian who played for the Union. Now he's with,
right.
Bravos and Juarez. You have these players who will be successful, but
Definitely.
again, just because Earthquakes is what, the team is, the team I always critique, like these owners don't want to spend money. They think
Right.
the American mentality, the sports mentality, will work with a sport like football, and
Mm,
it does to an extent. It
right.
does to an extent, but you gotta remember when you're thinking baseball, basketball, football, hockey, those are just North American
Right.
sports, or American, if you will.
And the best
Those,
players play in that league. So having a salary cap in that league, it's
yeah,
okay because the best players of the world are playing here in the NBA, are
exactly.
playing
They
here
they're
in
they're
the
they're being
MLB.
produced here.
Yeah,
They're being
exactly.
produced here. Like, yes, you get one or two player from like Spain or
Right.
from Germany, but
Greece.
that's like
Yeah.
once every like what 5 years or
Right.
something. Where the best players in soccer or in football, they're not coming from the U.S. I'm
Right.
sorry. Bullshit. That- it's insane that you trying to apply these American ideologies on an international sport
And
when
the biggest international sport.
your national team isn't that good, bro. Like,
Oh,
it had to be said. It had to be said.
oh.
So I'm pretty sure Sam's army is gonna start sending us hate mail for that too, and that's cool. We can bring it. I'm ready for it,
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa! We just won, dude. The Concacaf Nations League, dog.
bro.
Like,
Don't even, bro. Let me done. Don't even get me started with that, dude. Oh, what a
but
game. That's
but
all.
looking at the Quakes a little bit,
Mhm.
Chofis Lopez, the first 100 days, or let's call it the first 9 games that he's played.
Sure, the 90-day review.
Right. How do you feel so far about Chofis Lopez in a San Jose Earthquakes uniform? And this is coming from a guy that likes America, right? So
Yeah,
you're gonna give us the real take. This isn't
yeah.
Chivas kind of powdered up, kind of
No,
we still
no,
love
no,
Chofis.
no. What if you guys see my Twitter? It says I don't claim it, but I back it up, and I put America, But so for those who don't know, Chofis came from Chivas. Their biggest rival is America.
Yeah.
This is like you know Dodgers versus Giants,
Yeah, and
Yankees versus Boston.
And
Kind of
guys,
thing. Okay,
when America plays Chivas in America, it's just as strong of a rivalry in Mexico. So these
it's
people
huge.
carry this team with them forever, and their kids, and it just starts to grow in America as well. It's not like you
Mhm.
have to be there to understand the culture of Chivas America, and everybody probably knows that.
Yeah,
These are the biggest clubs from our area in the
yeah.
world, right? And you're not going to see a strong affiliation for Manchester
Mhm.
United in the middle of Modesto, but you are going to see a Chivas fan club from Modesto.
On a given Sunday, if you go to the flea market, you're gonna see at least five
Right.
people wearing a Chivas or an America jersey.
Right, right.
On any given Sunday. But with that being said, when Chofis was with Chivas, we used to talk smack, and by we mean the L3 podcast, myself included. Talk smack about he didn't look so much in shape, even though none of us are in shape on that one. But of course, like we were talking so much crap about him, like how he was seeing a therapist because he was getting, because the media was
Mm,
targeting his weight and stuff. And um, so I was always hating on him. I was like, oh, F this guy. The
mm.
moment I found out he was gonna go to Earthquakes, I'm like, I'm all for it.
Oh, yeah, right.
His glory days was with Almeida. Almeida's there. San Jose definitely wants to get the stronger Latinx
Right.
fan base, and they're doing it with bringing in this Argentinians, Peruvians, and
Mm,
Mexican players into the team. And like reliving the Almeida glory days. With Chivas. I'm like, I was all for it. So I think you even post this, or Tectonic Takes put
mhm.
this, talking about they wanted Chofis to shine on in MLS, and me too. I'm like, I just want him to shine too.
Right.
It's been a little bit disappointing. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
yeah.
he creates plays, he does passes, he
Right.
does that. He has given us 2 great goals this
Yeah.
season. And I was lucky enough to see the first one right there, and I was like, "Holy stack, he's back, baby!" But there's still something missing about it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's him,
Yeah.
missing his family, missing home, or what is it. But there's still something missing that it's not quite there, and unfortunately, Chofis is disappointing, man, especially
Yeah.
with such a huge hype coming into starting this season. But granted, it's his first season. If you look, Rodolfo
Yeah.
Pizarro, he had a hard time kind of getting started.
Right. Right.
Same with Chicharito, he had a horrendous season last year with
Yeah, yeah. So the
LA
first season,
Galaxy.
yeah, but
Yeah.
a little different because this is a loan with an option to buy, or an option to buy, or extend the loan for a second season.
Hmm.
And so this is like, I hate to say it, but even if people always need a year to get accustomed to the travel in MLS and to get accustomed to just the severity of having a long season, it, it's do or die right now, man.
Absolutely.
And him as our second designated player, they changed the kind of the inner workings for him to be the second designated player. Um, it comes with a tag. I know a lot of people don't like Andy Rios for his price tag, but we have to look at these other players, which are playing all right, but do they deserve our designated player spots where we can have a guy like a Nicola Dedo or Raul Rui Diaz, and
Mhm.
these guys are going to succeed in MLS. And Rui Diaz actually has never had a bad season in MLS, and he came from Morelia, Liga MX team. So again, we just have to, our expectation, including myself, might have been a little too high on Chofis Lopez. I thought this guy
Mhm.
was going to come in like a Zella Ryan, again, another Liga MX player where
Yeah.
lifted a trophy in his first year, right? And he
Yeah.
played great season, but maybe he's closer to an Matias Perez Garcia than he is to Zella Ryan. No, so it's something that we have to kind of think as a fan base. He's so let me name off a little bit of the stats so far.
Mhm.
In the last Liga MX, so they have the Apertura and the Clausura, which is 2 short seasons. So 12
Yeah.
games, you said, right, Danny? 12 games each?
There's 20 teams, so I think it's like 19 games each
Each.
before,
So
or 18, 19. Yeah.
let me go ahead. In the last couple of years, Chofis Lopez has not played as much as he did in the past with Almeida, but let's go for the 1920 season. He played 463 minutes in one part of the season in the Clausura, and then he played 860 minutes in the other part of the season, and that's 19 games each. So far in 9 games, he's played 562 minutes for the Earthquakes.
Mhm.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of minutes for a guy who was said to be out of shape, out of weight. So the chemistry by 9 games should be there. We
Yeah.
have 2 goals to show for it. In the 1920 season, where he had 860 minutes, he had 4 goals. And
Mhm.
in 463 minutes, he had 2 goals. So this is something that I guess he's on par with what he was in the
He's there.
19 to 20 season. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just not what I thought he was going to be when he came in, right? The hype was this guy is the next thing to help the Mexican league, excel, right?
Yeah.
This is something
When
where maybe he sniffs the Mexican national team, but it just doesn't
Mhm.
look like that.
No,
Danny?
when he was coming up, definitely he was like, "This is the future of the Mexican national team." And then unfortunately, not what happened with trophies is the same thing that happens with a lot of Mexican players. They get to these big time teams,
Mm,
Chiva, America, whatever. They get thrown so much money at a young age, and they don't do anything with it. They get pampered. And
right,
unfortunately, with Chofis, he's blacklist. He's 86 from Chivas.
right,
Chivas said, "We don't want him no more. So if anybody wants him, take him. But we don't want him. Here's his price tag, but he's not going to play with the Chivas jersey." So yes, you do have a point. This is do or die.
yeah,
This is his opportunity for him to shine and maybe stay with the Quakes if he wants to continue that relationship, or go with another team in Liga MX. But Liga MX, nobody wants him because of the amount of controversy with him.
right.
You know,
And this is kind of a little shocking. I saw another thing. 3 yellow cards in this MLS season is the most he's ever had
yeah,
in any season.
yeah,
So I don't know if he's becoming, a little bit of a hothead. The first game in Houston, he definitely could have got a yellow if he connected that kick. So that would have been 4
Yeah.
yellows. So I don't know if he's thinking that he should be not as touched or not as kind of peppered, and then he
Mhm.
retaliates and with a late slide or a late tackle, and
Yeah.
then he gets a yellow for it. But I thought that was a little funny that jumped off. But looking at his assist, he's never been an assisting kind of 10.
No.
So he's had one in almost all these games, and he's had 14 games, 1 assist, 17 games, 1 assist, 2 goals. So
Mhm.
he's really never been this kind of all-star type of player. And
Mhm.
as a DP for the San Jose Earthquakes, unfortunately, so far it just hasn't cut it really. And we
Yeah.
could use goals. And he almost banged one in the last game. Even Wando was the last game versus Austin. Wando was celebrating because he thought, oh, left foot, outside the box, it's gonna go in.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he goes ahead and turns it around. But so far, I don't think he's been what the Earthquakes need. He's becoming. I mean, Avaco had 15 goals under Almeida, so that's
Mhm.
about 5 goals a game. Or
Yeah.
5 goals a season with Almeida,
Yeah.
or yeah, or actually he was only here for 2 years with
2
Almeida,
seasons.
so
Yeah.
7 goals
Yeah.
a year,
A year. Yeah.
and we let him walk for free, guys, for free.
Here's the thing also though, earthquakes, what something about earthquakes is that they're the last quarter team. The
Mm,
last 15 minutes is when the quakes really, they
right, turn it
spark it
on
off.
when Cade Cal comes on. Yeah,
Yeah, and you saw this versus Austin. How many chances that they just did this past
right,
weekend in the last 15 minutes? You bring Juan Delossi, you bring Shea Salinas,
right.
you get the best scorer of MLS, and then you bring the best assistant
Right,
MLS, who
or the
happens,
best clutch
yeah, the
shooter.
best, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I love Shea Salinas. When he got the most assists, he's like, well, I just want to thank Wanda for overscoring them. I'm like, that's just the type of team the San Jose is.
right,
The last 15 minutes, Chofis hasn't been able to do it because he's usually subbed out in what, the 60th, 70 minute.
right,
That's when he comes out. So he hasn't been able to finish off the high pace Earthquakes Goonie times kind of finish off.
yeah,
But with that being said, it doesn't mean that the Earthquakes are not playing in the first 75 minutes
right,
or whatever. And that's when trophies really need to like step it up. And not just only him, but all of our attacking players. You
right,
cannot be depending, oh well, once Wando comes in, he'll finish off. No, why are you gonna
right,
put it with the 38-year-old or 39-year-old who, this is his last season?
right,
Like,
right,
and then at the same time, it's not fair that you put it with Kate Cowell, a little 17-year-old kid
right,
who
right.
he's
Little,
amazing.
little,
Little, like 6'4",
yeah,
whatever,
little.
little guy, young guy, I should say.
Yeah,
But you can tell that the inexperience is still not there. He gets
right,
too out of control or out of line. Not like, oh, he's a diva or something, but he's trying to create and he gets desperate, and you can
right.
tell where the inexperience is not there, which he will get in the future. The
Yeah,
kid is fast,
yeah,
but it's not fair to have so much dependent on him at that much age when he
yeah.
still doesn't have complete control of his capabilities.
Once Cade Cal gets down how to head the ball, then he will make that next step. Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, I've never seen him head the ball. And
No.
Christian Espinoza always centers the ball, and nobody's there. Nobody's
Yeah.
there for the center. And that's kind of where the connection is not happening. Andy Rios, on top of that, isn't a heading striker. I mean, the
No.
goal he had off a corner was off of his boot, right? And it was like a
Yeah.
crazy goal. So the only one that really heads balls is Alanis, which he has. I posted today on the Tectonic Takes Instagram, 9 shots. Alanis
Yeah.
has 9 shots as a defender.
And this defender,
Yeah, right. So I'm going to say this about Chofis Lopez, and then we'll move on to Alanis and Fierro, and then the All Star game. Uh,
Yeah.
Chofis Lopez has
Chofis.
12 shots so far with 2 goals.
Mhm.
Christian Espinoza has 20 shots with 1 goal. So are we truly being fair to Chofis, or is Christian Espinoza having that bad of a season for us this year?
I think I think it comes back to what we were expecting. This
Yeah,
expectation from these team from trophies and the big hype.
yeah,
So us as a fan, we always demand more from our team,
right,
especially the new player who's trying to make a name. But once we kind of sit back and are more professional analysis aspect of the fan and what we do.
Mhm.
Once that comes out, then it's like, well, if you put into retrospect, he's where he has to be,
Mm.
you know. But again, it goes back to our mentality that, and you just proved it without even
Yeah.
thinking about it, that Liga MX is superior than MLS. So we're expecting these
Right.
teams coming from this, superior teams. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but I'm not
No,
breaking.
I mean, I
It's all
think it's the
facts.
truth. Yeah,
It's the
it's
truth. You
until we win CONCACAF,
yeah.
then the argument can be made. But right now, we haven't won yet. So
Yeah. So you have these. It's like, dude, if you have a player from like Real Madrid come and play for Earthquakes, of course you're
right,
gonna be expecting this guy to be like a freaking
banging
god
in
in the
goals.
field.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's because they're coming from a more top tier team to San Jose. So of course the expectation is higher. But
right.
once we kind of take the seat back, we kind of look at the numbers and everything. We're like, well, this is where
Should
he's
be.
at. He
Yeah,
should be.
yeah.
So, of course, we're gonna be harsh. Of course, because we're fans. We're
Right.
Earthquake fans, and of course, we're gonna be the number one critics of the teams. We're gonna hate our team so much because we love them. So, of
Yeah.
course, we always gonna demand more from them.
Mm.
But realistically, he's where he's gonna be. And the only good thing I can say about this is that he can only go up, and hopefully doesn't
Right.
go down.
And where is a good season for Chofis Lopez for you? So he in 560 minutes he has 2 goals.
Mhm.
In the Clausura and Apertura, that's usually where he would plateau at 2 goals,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
3 goals, 4 goals. What's a good season from Chofis Lopez for you?
Trophies, I would like to see him in the double digits, like a 10,
A 10 goal?
maybe
Wow.
10 goal.
Okay.
I mean, look how many opportunities he has. He has
Yeah,
a
that's true.
killer strike. He always goes for shots side the box.
Yeah, he
So
doesn't pass. He
he
looks for
doesn't
that
pass.
shot. Yeah.
He looks for that shot. He goes for the true play. He goes for that type of play. So 10 goals is not so real. It's not so far stretch.
Yeah. Eh,
I mean, how many games is there in
yeah,
MLS?
in
There's like what
MLS. I think
30,
35, 34, somewhere around there. Mhm.
you know, get
Yeah, 1 goal every 3 games. That's not too
yeah,
hard to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not that far stretch. So
yeah.
somewhere between 9 to 12 goals. That's where I see trophies,
So
and
so
and
if
maybe two assists.
if Chofis scores one in the next game against Orlando, then he's on pace. He's on pace
Yeah.
for that. So yeah, like while I'm talking about this, maybe we are a little too harsh, but I'm
But
expecting like
we're
right.
fans.
Yeah,
Of
yeah, yeah,
course, we
yeah,
of course we have our teams and pedestals, and we demand more
yeah.
from our teams.
Right.
So this is why we're too harsh,
Yeah,
because because we love them so much that we demand more from them.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, we still gonna love them.
Right. But basically what I want to see is I want him to replace Vaco's goals. If you get 7 goals this season, then I'm okay with it. I'm okay
Hmm.
with Chofis Lopez. The price tag, we'll talk about it later. But
Yeah.
I think if you get 7 or 8 goals, I'm happy with you, right? I was happy with Vaco, even though he didn't pass, right? Like I always was talking about.
Hmm.
But this is a player that Almeida wants. And if he gets the same production of a guy that was leaving, and then it's okay with me. It's okay with me.
Yeah.
All right. But looking at Carlos Fierro. So Carlos Fierro is another case, right? So knowing the player that Carlos Fierro was in Liga MX, Danny, what did you think of him coming in, and what do you think of him now?
When he came into the Quakes, I was like, oh great, here's another like washed up player
Mm,
from Liga MX trying to just collect money or well, not collect money because it's the Quakes after all. Like,
but
but
he
restart his
makes
career.
so he makes the second highest paycheck on the Quakes. Him and Andy Rios make the second highest, tied at 900,000. They're
Hmm.
just under a DP, while Espinoza makes the most at 1.2 million.
Hmm.
So he does collect the paycheck. That's pretty big, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
compared to what he would make in the Liga MX.
and Carlos Fierro, same thing. I feel like he's gotten way better than what he came in 2019. I want to say.
Mhm.
Like mid
Yeah,
2019. So he's gotten, in my opinion, gotten way better than that season. Last year was kind of iffy because of COVID and everything.
right.
But compare him now, he has what, 7 appearances, I believe, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. He. So this season has been a little odd from him.
Yeah.
hasn't been on the starting lineup the last game versus Austin because they were trying something new. But he
Mm-hmm.
was the type of player this year that it's like a lot of people are saying, why is he out there? Right? Like the same with
Mm-hmm.
Andy Rios. These guys with a high price tag, why is he out there? Andy Rios is a little harder, I think, to judge. Yes, he doesn't miss a sitter, but when you're a winger and you don't like to take shots,
Mm-hmm.
are you creating? And if you're not creating, what are you doing out there, right? So
Yeah.
that one's a little harder, right? Because you're creating the service. So you're going to be in this system, you're going to be getting the ball a lot more than an Andy Rios.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going to be creating for me, why are you in the starting lineup? And a lot of plans or a lot of people are asking for Siad Haji to come out because they saw parts of him where it's like, oh man, this guy's really creative. Like, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? Why is Fierro out there? So it's something to think about. Carlos Fierro
Yeah.
is has been less than Vaco this year. That's 100%
Yeah.
obvious. Um, but with that price tag, it's kind of hard to say a
It,
bench
it,
player is going to have that price tag, right? So
it's hard to justify that price with what he's been delivering.
yeah,
Like, okay, if you're not going to take shots, then you must be creating,
chances, yeah,
chances, and you haven't, bro. You
right,
haven't.
right,
Your long ball passes are not there.
yeah,
Your sure your runs are there. Your short passes are there.
right,
You might have that chemistry with Chofis and stuff, but Chofis not the only player out there, bro. Like,
right.
so it's really hard to justify it. And unfortunately, I hate to say this because I hate to go against any Mexican player because that's
Mm,
just who I am. But yeah, maybe it's time where you just don't start a game, bro. Maybe come in second half.
right,
When we see you hook up with, with Shea Salinas and Wando in the last 20 minutes, like maybe that's where you will
right.
shine, But as a starter, yeah, it's really hard to justify him as a starter when you haven't really been doing that much and you're getting outplayed by your replacement.
And the Quakes actually paid a pretty chunky price tag for him.
Yeah.
$1.5 million or $1 million to
Hmm.
come in and play for us. And he's actually played 9 games this year. He has
Okay.
553 minutes and he has 1 assist, the one that won us the game versus Real Salt Lake. The an
Hmm.
important one, yes, but
Yeah.
he needs to do a little more for me because he's making that high price tag. But again, he's still only 26. So he's just starting to get into his prime. He's just
Hmm.
starting to get into his best years. Um, so maybe he has a little more in the tank, but this
But
is a
here's the
guy
thing,
where
dude.
I want to see more from. I feel like he needs to show me a little more. Eh,
But this goes down to, this is something that, no one knows the answer except for Carlos Fierro. So
Right.
Carlos, if you ever want to come and talk to us, please, or we'll meet somewhere in downtown, we'll get some burritos or something, tacos, whatever. Hit
No
me up.
problem.
But what is your future plan? Like, do you want to stay here in MLS? Do you
Right.
want to go back to, because if you're reaching your prime, you're 26, you're gonna get your prime years. If you want to make a jump to somewhere else, this is where you need to step it up and start really shining. If you want to stay with MLS in San Jose, okay, then keep on doing what you're doing.
Right.
If you want to go back to Mexico, keep on doing what you're doing. But with what you're doing in San Jose, Chivas is not gonna want you. Cruz Azul is not gonna want you. America's not gonna want you. You're gonna go back to a mid-table. You might go back to a Tijuana. You might go back to
Yeah.
Mazatlan or a Pachuca or something like that, or Pumas.
Mm.
But it really depends what Carlos Fierro wants to do with his future. And unfortunately, we don't know the answer except for Carlos.
And basically looking at what his stats were in the past, he's never been a big assisting guy either.
Yeah.
He's never been a big goal scoring guy. Like I'm looking at the 2017 season where I
Okay.
think he played for, let me see, I think that was Chivas.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, let me see what team he played for. Oh, he played for Tigres. No, wait, no, wait. Let me see where he played for.
I
Well,
think that was. I think that might have been still with Chivas.
okay, he had 47 appearances in both Liga Clausura, Apertura, and Copa. He had 47 games, 5 goals, and 2 assists in 47 games. So not really the superstar that this price tag is gonna give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is probably I mean, he's coming from Liga MX. Same thing with Chofis. He needs to do better than he did in Liga MX for me to feel like this is a good the transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think again, same thing like you were saying. It just if you're coming, I don't want to say you're downsizing,
Right,
but I
right.
mean, I'm gonna
But
say
but
yeah.
in a
If you're,
sense, you are
yeah,
coming in as a Liga MX player. So you should be performing more.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You need to be performing a little bit more. You need to be performing, creating more chances. And yeah, you're still young. Like, there's
Right.
no excuses for you to, you have the speed, you have the talent. It's just what is that you want to do with it. And unfortunately, again, with his move to MLS, hasn't really been. It's been leaving more to desire,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it might go down to like you just need to trust Almeida's what's it called, Almeida's
System.
system,
Yeah.
and hopefully, because one thing I have noticed about Almeida is that he brings chemistry
Definitely. Definitely.
into the team. He brings chemistry and unity. So again, in the field it might be something, but you don't know how important this player is in the bench,
Yeah.
or in the locker
That's
room.
true. That's true. And he
So
may be a locker room guy, but a locker room guy at that price tag, man. Whew.
and in locker rooms, guys are not winning you titles or
Right.
scoring goals, unfortunately. But it's one of those things. Unfortunately, I think where we have to trust Almeida, where he knows what's best for the team and how to get the best out of a player.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely been leaving more to desire,
Yeah.
compared to his to the rest of the team.
Mm. And I think we both understand what Carlos Fierro, I'm sorry, the Güero Fierro, that we are the same place, right? We want more from him. I think Chofis must have been a little better than Carlos Fierro, but again, he might have more opportunities. But as a winger, make those opportunities, right? So you're
Exactly.
in this system, you're gonna get the ball more. You're gonna get more freedom. I know he switches positions with Espinoza all the time, so he's gonna get new matchups every time. He should be beating his matchups. We're talking about left backs and right backs in MLS, which they're not usually the best players on the field, right? They're usually one of the worst spots on the field.
Hmm.
So if you're a winger in MLS, you should be making assists, key passes, or racking up those goals like Espinoza, right? Um, but now moving on to Alanis, the last Mexican on this list, he's been all right. I would say for his price tag at 450,000, he's been probably one of the mainstays in this lineup when he's there playing and one of the better players. I feel like he brings a lot to this team. He brings a lot of exposure to this team. And I feel like the team does play better like last game versus Austin when he's on the field. Danny, how do you feel about Osvaldo? And do you feel like he's played up to his potential?
Well, I think Osvaldo as a backline, I think he's been playing really magnificent. I want to say, isn't he? Didn't he did one of those like goal line clearing saves also? Like apparently
Um,
Quakes had like back to back ones like in the first 3 games or something.
it was Fierro, and I think it was Flo. So Flo
Yeah,
has
you're right.
stepped
You're
it
right.
up a little bit this year, but
Okay, it was
um,
Carlos Fierro. You're right. It wasn't
yeah,
Alanis.
and
But
yeah, that should count as a goal. He saved a goal. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
maybe we're a little harsh on his, but I mean, he's a winger, right? Why is it? I mean,
yeah.
what is he doing out there when he's not assisting, right? So,
Here's the thing. What I noticed about your defense, when you don't talk about your defense
mm,
or defensive player, when you don't talk about him or her, when you don't talk about that player and you don't really bring it up, he's they're doing their job,
right,
and that's what you want. You want somebody who's going to be reliable, someone's going to be solid in that back line. And I feel like Oswaldo Alanis has been doing that as a center back. He
right,
has been reliable. He has good command of his line. Um, and you can just tell the years of experience are coming in. Sure, he played with Chivas, but before making his way, he comes from Chivas. But prior to that, he was in Europe. He was in La Liga in
right.
Spain, where he had a little spill over there and went back to Chivas, and now he's back. He's here with us right now in with the Quakes, and then essentially I believe, isn't he gonna go back to Chivas at the end of the
If they don't want to
this one?
purchase him, yeah, he's going to go
Uh-huh.
back. And maybe they don't purchase him because he's a little on the older side, right? He's
Yeah.
32. If maybe he can give us 1 or 2 more years if he stays in San Jose, but I would like it. I mean, I think he's been solid. I think for
Yeah.
his price tag, I think he's been all right. I think he's
Yeah.
been pretty
I
solid.
feel too. I feel so too. He's somewhere like in the under $2 million price tag, I
Yep.
believe. That's a fair price for him.
Yep.
And I feel like he has been, from the three Mexican players that we've been talking who coming in, I feel like the most consistent one has been Alanis.
Yeah,
And
I
which is
agree.
great
I
because
agree.
that's what, sure, you can talk about one great magnificent goal or one great
Yeah.
play, but you want consistency because
Right.
championships are not, well, I mean, technically they are won in one game, but we also got to look at the season wide.
Right. And MLS is a
Um,
long season, so
it's a super long
yeah.
season, and there's a lot of, MLS goes through um a lot of different elements also. I believe my colleague, el como si me cono, oh, he does know me, but Alexi Lalas, he said,
My
MLS,
colleague,
my
Alexi.
colleague. He like, yeah. Well, technically, he is my colleague. What the hell? They are colleagues over here. But Lalas goes, MLS teams can succeed in Europe because MLS teams get exposed to all the elements in one season. You get
Mm.
your snow, you get your swamp
Yeah, that's true.
weather, rain, you get your altitudes,
Yeah.
the long traveling. I mean, there's always been talk about, a Liga MX and a MLS combination. I'm like,
Mm.
man, that must suck. Imagine like
The travel. Oh,
the travel from like Seattle to like Mexico City. Well, that's like a 6-7 hour flight
yeah.
and altitude, and then Seattle, you're gonna go from like where it's raining to like a super humid.
Right.
It's gonna suck, man. It's gonna suck. And same thing for like Liga MX teams. Like imagine them going up to like Colorado, and
Right.
in November where it's like snowing. Like it's gonna suck, bro. You're straight up not gonna have a good time. So
Right.
um and that's one thing about MLS is that the players get exposed to all the elements.
Mm.
Look at San Jose because that's who we are.
Yeah.
They just went from Austin, from like pretty humid, Texas weather, to super humid, swampy,
Right.
tropical over in
Orlando.
Orlando,
Yeah.
just to come back to San Jose,
Yeah.
where like we just had like a heat wave. Right now it cooled down a little
Yeah.
bit, but we just had a heat wave, and then you're gonna play versus LA, LA Galaxy on Saturday. Like
Right.
is it gets tiring, and I
Definitely.
think a lot of players get injured that way. They get they
Right.
just get burned out, and I think that's where players who are really really up to par are able to shine with the consistency game after game, because it's not even week after week at this point no
Right.
more.
Yeah. And so quickly to wrap this kind of section up, we both agree that Oswaldo Alanis has probably been the best Mexican
Yeah.
player on the Quakes, and that can change, right? Chofis Lopez still has a full season ahead of him. Maybe he does become the Zelarain type of player that we expect out of him.
Mhm.
And it just completely changes this whole podcast, but that's why we're doing it at the beginning of the year, right? So,
Yeah. You
um,
know, we might talk about this again next week
right.
after the California Classico.
Yeah.
Who knows, after having, Dos Santos and Chicharito in the same field with Chofis Alanis, maybe that's going to spark like rivalry.
Right. Right.
That's
Like
going
I
to
should have been
spark.
on the next national team with these guys, like they're trash. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Or like, it's gonna spark up something to show off that,
Yeah.
oh, I'm still better than this guy,
Right.
or vice versa. I was kind of hoping to see that when they played Kansas City with
Polito.
Alan Pulido. But
Yeah.
Pulido, I mean,
Polito showed up. Yeah.
he went Super Saiyan
Right.
out there, just
Right.
going all crazy. So that's the one thing I'm expecting. That's what I want to see. And
Mm.
this I know we're going to talk about the Liga MX All Star, Liga MX
Yeah.
MLS All
Let's go
Star
ahead and talk
review.
about that. Go ahead
And
and give your thoughts on that. How do you
yeah,
feel?
I mean, well, first off, if I'm being completely honest with you, I hate that MLS does the All Star games. I hate it. It's such an American thing, and I hate it.
Right.
Look how fast this guy kicks the ball. Oh wow, this is so dumb. It's so dumb. It's such an American thing, and it always pissed me off that the best MLS players cannot even beat like a B squad Arsenal. Like
All
it
right.
pisses me off, dude. But with that being said, this is gonna be a good showcase
Right.
for MLS. Like here we are constantly talking about, oh, closing the gap, and the gap is closing between MLS and Liga MX, and the rivalry that carries over to the national team
Right.
and all that stuff. So this is going to be a great opportunity to see these ex Liga MX players
Mm.
and MLS players
Yeah.
step up and play versus Cabecita, you
Right.
know
Who else is going to be out there? Miguel Layun probably. Right?
Layun, wow, I went on blank, like Henry Martin,
Yeah.
Cordoba, JJ Macias,
Yeah.
Atuna, Vega. You're gonna have probably the future. Obviously Ochoa is gonna come for goalkeeping,
Right.
but you might have the future goalkeepers of Mexico with oh wow, I'm blank. Santos goalie. Uh,
Beats me, dude.
yeah, you're like, yeah, you can throw any name out there, bro.
Yeah.
But
No, but okay.
Acevedo, there you go. Acevedo, there you go.
Good.
But yeah, you're gonna be hearing these names that are always gonna be linked up with like the national team
Oh,
or
and
some sort of European
Gignac,
team.
right? As well.
Gignac,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How can I
Of course.
forget Gignac, the French, the most
The French
French
Mexican.
person? Yeah. How can I forget him? But yeah, you're gonna have all these players come in which is, of course, it's so smart that they're doing it in LA.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they're doing
Right.
it because that's where
Or
the
Chicago would have been
money.
a okay one.
Chicago would have been a great one
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
or like somewhere in Texas would have been
Right.
great, like
San
Austin,
Antonio. Yeah.
San
Houston.
Antonio, Austin,
Yeah. Austin. Yeah, that would have been a good one too.
yeah, or Dallas, but I think it would have been great. But it's going to be at the LAFC Stadium, which
Yeah,
I can't remember the name.
which is the Blanc Studio or something like that. But
Yeah,
it's a prime jewel of MLS. So it's gonna be a big showcase. It's gonna be a fun time. I think it's great for the exposure of the league. I think it's the first step into getting that tournament that we were talking about. That maybe it's a preseason or something. I think it's the first step in the right direction for that.
And I read a lot of writers are saying, oh, this is a great way for Liga MX players to showcase their talent to maybe make the jump to MLS.
Right.
No, I 100% disagree with that. I think it's the other
You
way
think
around.
So? I agree. I think so as well. But I think the Liga MX players that are there are going to see that, oh, you know what? Maybe look at this state of the art LAFC grounds. Look at this practice facility. It's almost, or if not better than what they have in Mexico. Maybe that on the back end of things, they'll see it. Oh, okay. Wow. Look how nice this life is here. And they don't live in a world where they're hindered by the media, right? Mexican media is a different animal compared to the American
100%.
media. Yeah. So
I think Almeida said that how Messi will not only thrive in San Jose, but will love San Jose because the media will not, no one will care. I mean,
right. I mean, I would care. I would be there.
I will care. I will be there. Like I'm not a fan of I'm not the number one fan of what's his face? Wow, one blank. La Pulga.
Yes.
I'm the flea. I'm not like his number one fan.
Herrera, no? Herrera?
Oh no, it's the Piojo Herrera. No, I'm talking about I'm talking about Messi. No, I'm talking about Messi. Lionel Messi's nickname is also El Piojo.
El Piojo. La Pulga, right?
La Pulga. There you go. There you go. Not Piojo. La Pulga.
Yeah.
But like, no, if you bring Messi to San Jose, everybody's gonna be like, oh shit, that's Messi.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
and same here.
Yeah. But he's gonna choose a team like Inter Miami. It's not gonna be like San Jose. Yeah.
No.
And you get to live in Miami, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna go to Minnesota if you're him. But the thing is, like, for these players, for these players, they will love to come over here.
Or like a Chofis Lopez or a Cabecita Rodriguez, the players that do have problems where the photos leak, maybe San Jose, the coolest thing to do is to go to Lake Tahoe like they just did. So maybe they choose that.
Your JJ Macias, your Lexi Vegas, your all these players that are maybe getting pushed out from their teams because of their age or not. I mean, not with the last three, I should say, but players like Cabecita,
like Oswaldo, like a player that was getting pushed out because of his age, right?
Yeah,
has flourished in San Jose.
Yeah, and he said, you know what? It's still close enough to home.
Yeah,
still close enough where I can succeed. I can play here.
Right.
And so it might be a good showcase for these players from Liga MX who are kind of playing with the idea of like the last couple of seasons before I retire.
I agree.
But definitely for the younger cats in MLS to make that jump. Like, dude, Kate Cowell, if Kate Cowell has an amazing game, if he gets called to the All Star game and he has an amazing game, you
don't think America would be barking up that? I mean, if America comes in and offers Cade Cowell $10 million, or they offer the Quakes $10 million for him right now, I don't think they say no. I
No.
truly think the Quakes say okay, and then
Yeah.
he can maybe use America for a springboard to like La Liga, right?
Yeah,
To,
absolutely.
to go to Celta Vigo or even maybe a bigger club like
Go
Villarreal, you know. So
or go to where's Estenava is that over in the Dutch one.
uh
There's
uh
SVP
PSV.
PSV and then
Yeah.
Ajax. There you go. That's the one I was
Ajax,
thinking
yeah.
of. Ajax.
And that's what usually happens in the Latin world, right? They go to Liga MX. I know this happens a lot for Uruguayan players too, and they
Mm-hmm.
go to Liga MX because that's where the money is in the
Yeah.
Western Hemisphere, and they
Mm-hmm.
use it as a springboard to go into European teams. And
Yeah.
I know Aquino, the Peruvian player for America, that's like
Mm-hmm.
really his goal, right? To use America as a
Yeah.
springboard, and we get to see if maybe I mean yeah again if Cade Cal shows up then there's gonna be Liga MX teams barking up that tree. I think a
Yeah.
lot of Americans are in a place where they feel like they don't need Liga MX to make that
Mm-hmm.
springboard, but if any opportunity comes, you're
Yeah.
gonna take that opportunity. And
And
America is a club where you being half Mexican or a part of you being Mexican would
yeah.
give you such a big fan base,
Oh
such a
yeah.
big marketing tool to make that springboard and talk about
Yeah.
hype to go into that next step. And maybe you get a bigger paycheck than you would if you went from MLS, right? So it
I
opens
mean,
up a lot of doors for these American players if the MLS team shows up.
I believe we were talking about how Kikawa has the opportunity to play either for Mexico or the American national team.
Yeah,
So I mean, Chivas can easily pick. Chivas are always
right.
calling for
Because he falls
for
into that Mexican category, right? So
exactly. So why not?
would you
But
take a swap for JJ Macias right now for Cade Cal? Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
I would.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I would. Yes, in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
right.
No,
So
but I feel like this is a great opportunity for MLS to showcase what they have. Again, they got a lot of attention with the MLS's back tournament. So with this one, I think this is going to be a great opportunity also because it's
yeah.
not for the first time since I can remember. It's no longer, oh, MLS All Stars versus one team, one
Right.
single
It's
team.
all
It's
stars and
All
all
Stars,
stars.
All
Yeah.
Stars. The only problem with this, though, is that you were doing this when MLS is in full swing already. It's
Mm,
going to be like in late August, I believe. So, halfway through the season, the teams, all players aren't fit, where everybody else is, they're not going to give it a 100% because they're in preseason mode,
right.
so it's kind of like, it kind of
They might
sucks.
ball out. The MLS season, my team might ball out, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, what's the CONCACAF and things like
Yeah.
that," and it's gonna bring a lot of problems. But it might be the best case scenario for the young players. Like Cade Cowell has almost won MLS Player of the Week 2 times.
Yeah.
So, again, or he did win 2 times, but he could have won his third. So this guy right now is probably going to be on the team. And if he balls
Yeah.
out against Liga MX, oh, who knows, right? His price will skyrocket, and it
Yeah.
might be in their favor that they're in preseason, right?
Yeah. So, and here comes, and this happens to be in August when the transfer window is still open, also.
Right, right.
So, hell, anything's possible. So, I think it's a great opportunity for MLS players to make that jump, to really expose
Mm,
themselves. And again, this is a great opportunity for MLS to expose what they have to offer.
right.
You saw a taste of it with the MLS is back. Now you see it with everything. I just don't, again, just personally, I
Or
just don't like the concept of MLS All Stars,
mm,
versus. I just think that's such an American
yeah,
thing to
definitely,
do,
definitely.
and it doesn't work with the sport, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, on the world stage, it's kind of weird, right? But
Yeah.
when you're playing FIFA and you see that MLS All Star team, you're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool,"
Yeah.
but
Who they got here?
But even for a guy like Zelarain, where he was on the bench for Tigres, this is a big game for him. This is something to prove, like, hey, you guys
Exactly.
wasted me. You
Yeah.
guys didn't use me, right? And this is
Yeah.
something I can show you. I'm going up against your top talent in Liga MX, just torching him, right? And
Jurgen
that's what he's gonna
Damm,
want to
this
do.
is a great chance for Jurgen Damm also be like, hey,
Right.
look what you guys
Right.
let go. Rodolfo Pizarro,
And a guy,
Pulido.
oh, who knows where he's gonna be, right? Maybe in
Yeah.
San Jose, right? Well, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We'll see. I'm all for it. I know Daryl will love it.
I know, especially as an America guy, right? Seeing all these
Yeah.
Chivas go to your hometown or your
Yeah.
team in San Jose, it's gonna be kind of weird, right? Like,
You're kind of like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
I guess I'll share, but I'm not really stoked about it. As long as he doesn't bring up the Chivas.
Hey, Andy Rios is an America player. All right, you should be his biggest fan. What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, until he performs a little bit better. But
All right,
no,
well,
and I
yeah,
think
go
this
ahead.
is great. I think to conclude, I think it's gonna be great. It's a
Yeah,
great way to kind of showcase. It's kind of like an experiment to see if a bigger season or tournament of a Liga MX and MLS non-CONCACAF tournament will be
Right.
able to happen. So this is a great showcase.
Well, I know
And
I'm
we'll
going to
see
be
what
watching.
goes.
I might
Yeah,
have not been watching the MLS All Star game, but I'll be watching it now.
yeah. Me
Yep.
too. Same. I wasn't gonna watch them play. Chelsea.
Juventus C squad, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Or a
exactly.
Lazio, right? No.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
but this one is like, all
I'll
right, I
watch
know
this.
both players. Yeah, I'll watch this and most
Yeah.
likely talk about it. We'll come back and we'll talk about it too.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, well, Danny, this has been a blast, man. We've been on the Zoom call for almost 2 hours now, so it's always a pleasure
Yeah,
talking
dude.
to you. Really, uh, thank you so much for taking the time in your day. And I actually, before I let you go, I want to quickly thank all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for your support. Without you guys, it's not possible to do this. And as well as the Beautiful Game Network for hosting us. And Danny, I want to thank the L3 Pod as well for always supporting us and coming on the show. If you want to let people know how they can reach you, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Y'all can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Danny E3P. And that will give you a link to the L3 Pod, or you can follow the L3, or you can just go to our website,
Yeah.
l3podcast.com.
And you can pick
Follow
up that
me.
cool shirt, right? Like you guys have a
Yeah,
whole bunch of cool merch.
we got this one.
Yeah.
My other ones are somewhere over there. So yeah. You can pick up our merch,
Yeah.
pick up our stickers, which I have some. I have one right here, and then
Yeah.
this one right here. And
Or
you can also check out my other podcast, The Tales from the Head. Sorry, the
yeah.
light is there. It is. Tales from the Head, L3 Pod. But yeah, follow me on Twitter, Danny E3P, or follow me on Instagram at Danny B Shank. I always love to talk to people. I will answer back. I always love to stir the pot a little bit. So
if they see you at a Quakes game, right? I know you're always out there. Will has spent time with you before too. So if you're ever at the game, say what's up to Danny.
So I forgot to tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this right now. So I met Will a couple of games back. Now I'm like, oh, what's up, Will? So I'm always at the game. I always will post a picture of how it looks. So come say hi to me. I pretend like I don't like the attention, but I mean, come on, let's be real. No, but so Will and I were talking, and I told Will I was a teacher, just like I told you, Fabian. Like, oh, yeah, I'm a teacher. I work at a charter school here in East San Jose. Bro, tell me why Will was the assistant basketball coach at the school where I teach. Like, we came to this conclusion, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I was the assistant basketball coach for over at KIP San Jose Collegiate." I'm like,
wow.
Bro, I bust out my teacher ID. He goes, what? I'm like, yeah, do you have been teaching there?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it also turns out somebody else on Twitter, Angel, I can't remember his handle name, but same thing. He's like, so what, you teach there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I was the assistant soccer coach. I'm like, dude, what the hell? So it's just like funny, like this people like prior to last year, I didn't know. And now I'm like, dude, we have these like small connections. But yeah, Will was a coach at my school, and I taught that school, or I'm still teaching at that school. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's actually a cool tidbit. If you guys follow Quake's Twitter and follow our show and Danny's show, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's small world, man. Small world.
I love it, dude. I'm all for it. But yeah, dude, thanks for having me, man. Of course. Always a pleasure. Always love seeing you guys grow and just taking what you guys do to the next level. And dude,
thank you.
For you to refer to what I do and the L3 podcast, what we do is such an honor. So thank you, man.
You guys are great inspiration. You guys do a great job with everything, guys. I can't say how much you guys should listen to them, because I need to choose a Liga MX team as well. So when you guys are back up this next season for the Apertura, I'm going to definitely start listening and pick a team. I think a lot of our fans should do that as well, especially with this league becoming our brother, right? In MLS. Yeah. So it's something we definitely need to get into more.
Hell yeah, dude. And yeah, if you ever wish to have me back, man, just shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk,
of course.
Or anything.
Email is so official.
Yeah. Just shoot me a text, bro. You got my number. You can shoot me a text.
Just shoot me an email. My assistant will take a look at it, see if I can fit you in the schedule.
My people will call your people. We'll set up the contracts. You know how it works. You know how this legal mumbo jumbo.
I'm starting to think maybe I like Nick Saka because I like their ownership group. Longoria, Upton,
Oh, dude, no, and the Cax actually has their goalie is really, really good. Malagon. A lot of people are saying he might be the next goalkeeper for Mexico, but I saw Necaxa got Oak still now. They got Verlander, and I'm like, wow, Like shit.
Yeah, well, Eva Longoria, she probably is their biggest owner because she posted that picture right with all their gear, and that's like there's some pride there, and it was cool to see that out of a big superstar, right? If you guys you know who she is, I mean, she's one of the biggest Latina names out there. So
let's be honest, we all had a crush on her. We all had or have a crush. It's okay. The missus won't hear this. It's okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's too deep in the podcast words, you know.
Yeah, you're kind of looking like yeah, she won't. She won't do this. Yeah, come on, let me make sure my phone is off. Okay, yeah, right. It's off. Okay, we're good. No, but no, dude, Necaxa, it's just got like really good sponsorship also, and really cool stuff going on in Liga MX. I highly suggest you guys listen to it and listen to our podcast, the L3 podcast, for all your Liga MX content in English.
All right. Well, thank you, Danny, so much. And that wraps it up for us. Man. And all I have to say is go Quakes.
Let's go Quakes. See you guys on Saturday.